Hey everyone, welcome to the Movie Vault. My name is Rob. We're going to talk about movies. I'm back with what I've watched recently, my watch list, episode 24. If you haven't caught up with the other ones, do check out the playlist here. I have not done one of these videos in a while, but I have a nice list of stuff to talk to you guys that I've watched in the last 2 months or so, with a couple of trips to the cinema in there as well. Let's jump right in, guys. The first one is available on Apple TV. I saw it in the cinema. You guys know, if you're a long-time viewer here of the channel, you know I work in a cinema. I'm a projectionist, and we got this in work, and I was able to watch the press show of this actually. So this is still a Michael J. Fox film, Michael J. Fox movie rather. It's a documentary about Michael J. Fox. Everybody knows Michael J. Fox, beloved Michael J. Fox. Fantastic stuff there, guys. Really loved it. It's a little bit heartbreaking to watch him struggle through with Parkinson's disease, and how he kind of hid that throughout his career is really interesting, really fascinating. But I do highly recommend checking out still if you haven't seen that already. Next one up was another trip to the cinema, guys. We went to see The Eight Mountains, which really interesting movie. To me, kind of how the movie was shot was really interesting. It has a lovely 1:3:3:1 aspect ratio, so to kind of square the 43 on the old school TV look to it. Really interesting. Essentially about two childhood friends who come from very different backgrounds, who kind of get separated and then come back in their adulthood after the death of one of their fathers. So it's a really interesting kind of movie about these two guys' friendships throughout their life, and again, as I said, beautifully shot, like up in the mountains and stuff. Really interesting. So if you're into cinematography and stuff like that, I would recommend checking out The Eight Mountains. Jumping to physical media for the next one, guys. A lovely 4K movie here. Looks absolutely stunning. This is Sam Mendes 1917 here. Thanks to my girlfriend for this one. She bought it for the collection here for the vault and kindly donated it here. I obviously knew of this film but never saw it, and I thought at some point here in the last 2 months I was like, I better sit down and watch this one. And I actually, before I watched the movie, I watched a YouTube video where the cinematographer Roger Deakins breaks down how the movie was shot and the kind of tips and tricks that they use. So if you're unfamiliar with 1917, it's shot in kind of one continuous take. Even though it isn't one continuous take, that's how the movie is edited to look like that. So it was interesting to watch that YouTube video about Roger Deakins speaking about how the movie was shot before I actually watched the movie. And then there is some interesting bonus features on this anyways. So yeah, 1917, I think, again, beautifully shot. I really love the idea of it. The story of what's going on is interesting. Quick spoiler alert, guys. So if you haven't seen it, you may want to skip to the next movie. But they kind of killed off one of who I thought was going to be the main characters kind of early on, and I thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, you can see where some of the kind of edits are in the kind of where they would cut one take and, you know, the next cut would come in to kind of make it look like that continuous cut. But really interesting, very well done. I did like it. Looks and sounds phenomenal on 4K. So again, if you haven't seen 1917, I do recommend this one. Next one up, guys, was not really a trip to the cinema, but more of a work thing for me. So we were running Dunkirk on 35mm film, and it's one of the ones I never ran in the list of Christopher Nolan movies as a projectionist. I have now, up to right now as of making this video, I have ran every Christopher Nolan movie on 35mm except following Memento and Dark Knight Rises. Oppenheimer will be coming, so fingers crossed for 35mm on that one. But running Dunkirk was a bit of a bucket list for me, and as I say, got to run it in work, so got to make up the print, got to view the print. So we view the film before the public show actually happens to make sure everything's okay with the print. It sounded absolutely phenomenal. It's 100% a cinema film. Even though it sounds and looks great here, you know, in the vault on 4K with the surround sound, the 7.1, it's something completely different in a cinema setting. So I would recommend that if you get a chance to see Dunkirk in the cinema, do take that opportunity. Next one up, guys, was another trip to the cinema, but I have a 4K disc I'm going to show you here. So I had never seen this movie. It's a Ridley Scott film, and again, my girlfriend kindly picked up Gladiator on 4K for the collection here. She actually bought this, and then as part of that Dunkirk that I just mentioned previously there, we were running a Hans Zimmer season in work in the cinema, so it's movies Hans Zimmer has done the score to, and Gladiator was on, so we thought let's go and see it in the cinema first, and which we did. So I've still yet to watch this 4K disc, but seeing it in the cinema was something really cool. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. It's in there. It's like one of those like early 2000s, right? It's 2000, I think. Is it? You can never find the years when you need to. Yes, 2000. It's one of those. It is what it is. I was a bit surprised that Ridley Scott kind of directed this, from his other stuff. Yeah, pleasantly surprised. Russell Crowe is in there. He's pretty good. I like him. And I would recommend checking out Gladiator if you haven't seen it. And whether you want to pick this up and add it to your collection, I don't know. This may be some kind of mortal sin on YouTube to not like Gladiator, because I know a lot of people love it. But it's in there for me. It's 50-50, so maybe when I rewatch this 4K here, I might enjoy it a second time around. But that was the next one up. Another trip to the cinema, another Hans Zimmer season movie, guys. I believe I watched this in one of the lockdowns, and I have it here on 4K in the collection behind me. But I never got to see this in the cinema, and I thought, like, this is the perfect time to revisit Blade Runner 2049. Again, this is something that completely takes on a different life in the cinema. Absolutely fantastic. Sounds amazing in a cinema setting with a bunch of people. It's something completely different than watching it here at home. So absolutely love it. I think I spoke before on the channel when I saw Blade Runner 2049 for the first time, and Batista kind of is one of the first things you see. I was like, oh no, what are we in for here? I love Ryan Gosling in that role. Batista's gone pretty quick. Spoiler alert, guys. Sorry. Harrison Ford in there, obviously, as well. Jared Leto. I think they've done a really nice job with Blade Runner 2049. So this is one that I would recommend. If you haven't seen it, please do check this one out. Yet again, another trip to the cinema. Another first time watch, guys. Another Ridley Scott movie. This recently got a 4K restoration release. This is Thelma and Louise. Yes, I'd never seen this. And this movie I thought it was something completely different than what it actually was. I really enjoyed it. It was really well done. A very, very good story. Somebody said, get a life, so they did. It's the tagline here on the poster. Completely not what I thought it was going to be. And I really did enjoy it, and I think there's a 4K coming out soon, or it's already out at the moment. So again, that's one I would recommend, and I probably will have to pick that up for the collection here. But yeah, Thelma and Louise, another thumbs up from me on this video. Another trip to the cinema, another Hans Zimmer score, another Christopher Nolan movie. I love this movie, and once I saw it was on in the season, I had to go and see it in the cinema. It's Inception. I absolutely love this Christopher Nolan movie. It's fantastic. I think DiCaprio is brilliant in there. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I love the cast in this one. Tom Hardy obviously is in there as well. Really, really great. I love the whole idea of it. The dream within the dream within the dream. Love it, guys. Absolutely love it. Again, looks and sounds fantastic. For Inception, we sat behind the row behind what Christopher Nolan has recently said on Twitter. That's the seat he prefers to sit in if the movie is a CinemaScope film, so a 235 or 2391 film. So in the cinema I work in, we have a proper CinemaScope screen with the curtains that open. So he said he prefers to sit in the third row from the front, in the very middle, the very center seat. So we sat in the fourth row, and I get what he's talking about. It kind of, you feel immersed in it, and the screen is kind of, on your peripheral. You're kind of, everything is there on the screen and you're not seeing past that. So that was really, really interesting to sit one row behind the Nolan seat to watch Inception. Speaking of Christopher Nolan, here's one I had never seen. I know, shock, guys, right? I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. I knew what this one was about. I just never saw it. I bought it for the collection a long time ago and just never got around to watching it. And I'm actually reading a Christopher Nolan book that I'm looking at off camera there. There will be a review soon on the channel. I'm reading that book, and in that book they spoke about Memento, obviously, as one of Nolan's movies. And I knew what this was. I knew what the gist of it was. I just never saw it. And my God, what a fantastic film. This is really, really brilliant. Guy Pearce is amazing in it. I love the whole idea of it being out of order and him trying to remember stuff. I think I understood the ending. I would love for you guys to jump in the comments, let me know what you made of the ending of Memento. I love it. There is a really interesting and funny Q&A with Guillermo del Toro and Christopher Nolan as a bonus feature on this. This Blu-ray doesn't feature so on that interview they're kind of talking about how there was a special edition DVD and you could watch the film in chronological order, which Christopher Nolan said he never watched, and obviously that wasn't his intention from the get-go. So that is not on this Blu-ray, but that's a really interesting Q&A, and I do recommend checking out Memento if you haven't. Highly recommend this one. Absolutely loved it, guys. Back to the cinema, guys. Another 35mm film. I got to make up and run this one again as part of the Hans Zimmer season. Can you imagine that? Hans Zimmer done the score for 1993's Cool Runnings. This was amazing to run this. It was a really very old print. It was a print that was kind of reprinted in 1997, remanufactured I should say. So it was a 26-year-old print. As of making this video, I just ran that film yesterday. Yeah, a pretty beat up print, but again, another chance to kind of go and see a 35mm in work. I actually obviously ran it through before, as I mentioned earlier, ran it through before the public show yesterday, and then got to watch through the porthole with the projector beside me for that screening yesterday. So Cool Runnings, it's a good fun family kind of film. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend. If you want the kind of an upbeat kind of a story, Cool Runnings is one for you. Next movie up was another trip to the cinema, guys. My girlfriend chose this one, and it was War Pony. Really nice movie here, directed by Riley Keough. I think co-directed by Riley Keough, who we all know from some other movies and stuff in her career, and obviously her mom is Lisa Marie Presley. So that's really interesting. That one, War Pony. Yeah, just kind of, you know, about life, how these people are trying to get on in their lives, you know, the obstacles they face, stuff like that. I do recommend checking this one out if you get a chance to see War Pony. Okay, folks, that is another one here in the Watchlist playlist podcast. Please do jump in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you guys. Have you seen anything I've seen here? What did you think? Did you like something I liked? Did you dislike something I liked here in the list? I would love to hear from you guys what you thought of those couple of movies there over the last 2 months that I've watched. As always, if you want to support the Movie Vault, number one way, give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, share the video with somebody you might think would be interested in watching this. Stay safe, guys, and I will talk to you on the next one.